Hello beautiful people, happy Sunday and welcome to your astrological forecast for next week. It's coming around a little bit later than normal because as I've been sharing in my practical application of astrology, I've been attending a Digital Nomad Festival here in Bansko, Bulgaria, which just ended, and therefore I am catching up with all my work, and this video is being recorded today, and my practical application of astrology will be very likely recorded and coming out tomorrow, so stay tuned. So as I already mentioned, we're going to be discussing the upcoming transits and aspects that will be taking place next week, which will be leading us and building us up towards the new moon in Cancer, which we will be experiencing depending where you are in the world. Some of us will be experiencing it on July the 5th, some of us on July the 6th. For me here in Bansko, Bulgaria, it will be already July the 6th, but we will dive into it later on in the video, and let's just dive into where we are at the moment. So during this weekend, we had quite a few aspects taking place. We started the weekend with Moon in the sign of Aries. Mercury made a square to Chiron, Venus sextile to Mars. Then yesterday on Saturday, Saturn stationed retrograde and will remain retrograde until mid-November. It will station direct right before the full moon in Taurus. And also Mercury made a sextile to Uranus. This is the first sextile since their conjunction, which took place on May 30th. And the first sextiles, as we know, has a flavor of a Taurus, and there are a lot of Taurian topics coming out. And then today, Moon is moving into the sign of Taurus, speaking of which, so we will end this week and begin a new one with Moon in a fixed sign for change, and it is the sign of Taurus. And this is actually how we're going to enter into a new month, because of course tomorrow is July 1st, and therefore we are entering into the second half of 2024. Can you believe it? First half of 2024 is already behind us. It's absolutely unbelievable. So tomorrow Monday, apart from Moon being in a sign of Taurus, doing what Moon does, Moon is going to be sextile in Sun, conjunct in Mars, sextile in Venus, but there will be no other major aspect being made by any other planets apart from Moon. Tuesday, July 2nd, this is going to be a very different story, because this is actually very likely the busiest day that we have the entire week. So Neptune is going to station retrograde on 29 degrees 56 minutes. Well, this is very interesting because 2 and 9 add to 11, and so does 5 and 6. So 11. So Neptune, the most spiritual of all archetypes, and Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, is going to station retrograde on July 2nd, which adds up to number 9, and then plus 8 is number 17, which comes up to number 8, which is the year we are at, year number strength, right? And Neptune is stationed in retrograde 29 degrees 56 minutes, which adds up to 11, and Neptune will remain retrograde until December 8, which is bang in the middle between the Sagittarius New Moon and Gemini Full Moon. And Gemini Full Moon will be the last full moon of 2024, of course. Then on the same day, July 2nd, we are also experiencing Mercury making a trine to Neptune retrograde already, and this is right before Mercury moves into the sign of Leo. So Mercury is moving into the sign of Leo on July the 2nd, Tuesday, and Mercury will remain in the sign of Leo until July 26th. So the same month, he will move into the sign of Virgo, which is the second sign of his rulership. Then carrying on, Moon will move into the sign of Gemini. And also, depending where you are in the world, for me here in Bulgaria, it will be still on Tuesday, but if you are in Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and so on and so forth, it will be already Wednesday the 3rd. Sun will make a square to the lunar nodes, so Sun will be the skip step, even though Sun cannot be a skip step, because Sun is just for this lifetime, but from this perspective, Sun is the skip step for this one transit, and is pointing towards North Node, because as I mentioned, everything that's going to be square in the lunar nodes from Cancer, now the resolution node is actually the North Node in Aries, ruled by Mars in Taurus. Okay, Wednesday the 3rd, Venus as the ruler of South Node is making a trine to Saturn retrograde, because Saturn is retrograde since yesterday, Saturday, when I'm recording this. And they had their last conjunction on March 21st, which was right before the lunar eclipse in Libra. And then I have here, interestingly enough, on the same day, Sun in Aries made his first sextile to Pluto, which actually, because of the Sun, is the closing sextile, so Aquarian flavor. And Mars was on 29 degrees and 59 minutes of Aquarius when that took place, and subsequently moved into the sign of Pisces. So this is very interesting because, of course, Mars is the ruler of the North Node, and this was Venus back in March making a conjunction to Saturn and Pisces. So the cycle had ended with regards to ruler of the South Node, and Saturn, as the former ruler of Pluto, Saturn will become ruler of Pluto one more time for 2.5 months during Pluto's last stay in Capricorn, September till November 19th, 2024. But isn't this interesting? We had Venus making a conjunction to Saturn back in March, whilst Mars was literally on the last minutes of Aquarius, ruled by Pluto. Sun was making a sextile to Pluto from the sign of Aries, ruled by Mars. And subsequently, right after that, Mars moved into the sign of Pisces the next day, which is all about endings and culmination. And how are we starting this week? With Neptune stationed in retrograde in the sign of Pisces, which is all about re-evaluation and going deep within to understand what it is that we need to release and let go of. And we build up on that for this new moon in Cancer, because of course this is very related. Okay, so this is still the third Wednesday the 3rd, apart from Venus making a trine to Saturn, which is of course supportive aspect, we are also experiencing Mercury making an exact opposition to Pluto retrograde. Mercury now being in the sign of Leo. Opposition is always about balancing, the balancing act, which is Mercury being the sign of Leo is helping us to reconnect with our heart and our inner child. Then where are we? We are still Wednesday. Okay, Venus is gonna trine Pallas. Then we're moving into Thursday. On Thursday, for me here in Bulgaria, it will be right before midnight. Moon will move into sign of Cancer. This is Thursday the 4th. And this is, of course, in preparation for this upcoming new moon in Cancer. Friday the 5th, Mars will make an exact sextile to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. This is Mars being in the sign of Taurus. And their last conjunction, as we might remember, happened right after the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, which took place on April 8th, and the conjunction between Saturn and Mars happened on April the 10th. So this is their first sextile since, again, Taurus flavor. First sextile is a Taurus flavor, which means we build in a new foundation. We put in a strong roots that will hold us and support us throughout this entire cycle that we are entering into. And now, depending where you are in the world, for me here in Bulgaria, as I mentioned, it will be already Saturday the 6th at just before 2 a.m. in the morning. But even if you are in the UK, already in Europe, it will be still happening on Friday the 5th. Just before midnight. But of course, if you are in US, anywhere in US, it's happening for you on Friday the 5th. We are experiencing the new moon in Cancer, and this is taking place on 14 degrees and 23 minutes of Cancer, which interestingly enough adds up to 5 and 5, and that adds up to number 10. And 10 is all about endings and new beginnings, right? So right after this new moon in Cancer, we are going to experience Venus making a square to Chiron. We already had Mercury that made a square to Chiron. This time is Venus as the ruler of the South Node making a square to Chiron. So this is a pressure that is being built up. As I mentioned, or I might have mentioned, I don't know actually if I mentioned it in a video, I mentioned it to my friend. The three most impactful things that are happening throughout Cancer season are squares to the nodes, squares to Chiron, and Mars conjuncting Uranus, which is coming up on the 15th of following week. But anyway, this time it's Venus that's activating this square to Chiron. So again, more wounding might be coming up, and this is very closely related to this new moon in Cancer, because we are shedding off the layers of the old identity and we are becoming a brand new version of ourselves, the new version will be more supportive of us in these upcoming times of this age of Aquarius, Pluto transiting through Aquarius, and everybody moving into masculine signs by 2026. Okay, so this is Saturday the 6th, new moon in Cancer, Venus making square to Chiron, and then also Mars is going to oppose Pallas, Juno is going to oppose Saturn. Okay, then we're moving into a Sunday the 7th, 7-7 portal. This is going to be a very, very interesting day, because again 7-7 adds up to number 14, which is number 5, and then we are in the year number 8, so 5 and 8, 13, number 4. So from chaos we are building a new structure, we are restructuring reality, but the way it's happening, it's in like through all this distraction and chaos and all this like, oh, I don't know what's happening, where are we going, who are we becoming, who knows, because it's all going to look different for different people. So anyway, Sunday, Mercury is going to conjunct Vesta, and apart from that, Moon is going to move into the sign of Leo. So we are going to yet again end another week and start a new one with Moon in the fixed sign. Fixed energy is very powerful because there is no mistake. There is no mistake where are we heading. And Moon being in the sign of Leo, and this is of course where Moon is going to conjunct Mercury actually on the same day. Moon is going to oppose Pluto straight away and conjunct Mercury still on Sunday the 7th at 23:23 Bulgaria time. This is crazy, right? 23:23. What is that? 5 and 5, 10. Exactly the same as this new Moon in Cancer. And this is all about this reconnection with your heart, reconnection with your inner child, the voice of your, we had the Cancer season where it was this understanding the voice of your, understanding the language of your soul, which is all about this intuition. And now is this Moon in a, Moon also, but Mercury being in a fiery sign of Leo, is about this creation of this new, also this new sense of purpose, because Leo, this authentic expression, which gives you a good indication of what your purpose might be, because you had the seed of that within yourself and it's hiding in this authenticity. It's all Leo archetype. So as I mentioned, this is how we're going to end the first week of July with Moon in the sign of Leo and enter into a new week starting from Monday 8, and that will be for another conversation, because straight off the bat we're going to have 3 aspects, very important aspects happening on Monday the 8th. But yeah, if you would like to hear more about that, then tune in next week. Okay, now we're going to zero in on this new Moon in Cancer. So as I already mentioned, depending where you are in the world, it is happening either on July the 5th or July the 6th. It's happening obviously at the same time, but because we live in all these different time zones, the same time is going to mean something different for different people, which is again how we tapping into our multidimensionality, right? We might be experiencing the same thing, but it might be a completely different part of the day for you. So you might be doing different things. So anyway, as I already also mentioned, it's happening on 14 degrees 23 minutes, 5 and 5, which adds up to number 10, plus, as I said, we are in a year number 8, so that's 18, and that's adds up to number 9. So endings and new beginnings, culminations, we are almost there. So this new Moon in Cancer is actually resetting, because as we know, the cycle begins with the conjunction, therefore in this case new moon, so new moon to new moon. So this new moon in Cancer is resetting cycle that began on July 17th 2023, when we last experienced new moon in Cancer. And guess what happened on that day? Well, that was the day when the lunar nodes moved into the sign of Aries and Libra, and actually during the time of the new moon in Cancer, the nodes were on 0 degrees and 1 minute. 1 minute of Taurus and Scorpio still, because they changed like I think 2 hours later or something like that, if I remember correctly. Okay. The most important thing that was happening during the time of the new moon in Cancer 2023 was that it was in opposition with Pluto retrograde at the time in Capricorn, 29 degrees 14 minutes, and it was being trined by Neptune. From Neptune at the time was 27 degrees 37 minutes, and the new moon in Cancer 2023 happened on 24 degrees 56 minutes. So there was opposition from Pluto, trine from Neptune, and what else was happening? Sextile to, that's a little bit wide orb. Oh yeah, sextile to Uranus, And this, in case of Uranus to the Sun and the Moon, it was the closing sextile, Aquarius, breaking free, liberating ourselves. So we see that this new direction, because Cancer, cardinal sign, new direction with regards to seeding this new identity that now we're going to have to build up on, because as we know, it's 5 to 12, Pluto only has one more retrograde into the sign of Capricorn, and that's it. Then we are full stream ahead, Aquarius times. So yeah, opposition to Pluto, trine to Neptune, and sextile to Uranus. This is important, right? Okay. So now we're moving into the full moon in Cancer, which was the midpoint, and this was on December 27th. It was how we ended 2023. It was the last lunation of 2023. We had a full moon in Cancer, which took place on 4 degrees 58 minutes. So of course, during this time, the nodes were already in the sign of Libra and Aries, because they switched shortly after the new moon in Cancer. Also, important thing to remind everyone again is that throughout the entire 2023, Pluto was making a square to the lunar nodes from the sign of Capricorn. Therefore, resolution node was the south node. At the time of the new moon in Cancer, it was still in Scorpio on the 1 minute, 1 minute of Scorpio, right? And Pluto, as I said, was opposing this new moon in Cancer 2023, and Mars, actually at the time, Mars was in the sign of Virgo already, and this is something that I kept mentioning for majority of 2023, that Mars will and always was and always will be the ruler of the North Node in Aries, and he was, let me rephrase this. Mars, as the ruler of the North Node, will always be in the sign of Virgo at the time when this switch happened. So when North Node moved into the sign of Aries on July 17, 2023, Mars was in the sign of Virgo. What does this mean for us? Mars, of course, before that was associated with the South Node because it's a traditional ruler of the Scorpio. So this means that this is all about learning and adjusting, which is exactly what is needed, because it supports us on our hero's journey. We don't have to like it, but this is part of what we sign up for coming up here on planet Earth, because we wanted to have this experience. So again, we're moving on to this Cancer full moon, the midpoint, which took place in December 27th. Pluto was still squaring the nodes, still pointing to the south node in Libra. Where was Venus? Venus was still in the sign of Leo at the time of the new moon in Cancer. At the time of the full moon in Cancer, Venus was in the sign of Scorpio, interestingly enough, making an exact trine to Neptune. So this is again supporting us in this letting go. And by December 2023, we had much more idea about, okay, where do I feel restricted? Maybe where do I not resonate with the old version of myself? Where do I not feel safe? Where this old skin, old identity doesn't feel quite fitting? Because like I said, it all started when Venus was in the sign of Leo, authenticity. This is where the moon was birthed in July. It's all about authenticity, and now by December 2023 we had a little bit more clarity with regards to, am I living an authentic expression or not, and how do I want to change this, or am I living a life that is to impress someone else or to make somebody else happy, with the south node being the resolution node in the sign of Libra. And what else to mention over here? Okay, the North Node was of course conjunct Chiron. This was still the closing phase. Okay, so like I said, and actually Uranus was in opposition with Venus as his ruler at the time. So this was all about balancing. Of course, full moon is about, opposition. So it's all about balancing. Yeah, okay, I don't want to spend obviously the whole video on what already was, so we're moving on to this new moon in Cancer 2024. So we know something got seeded in July 2023, nodes shifted, Aries Libra, resolution node became the one in Libra, said, okay, we need to find out what is out of balance, how did we got to this point, okay, yeah, maybe we externalized too much power to other people, what does it mean, what does it make me, am I who I think I am? Am I living my authentic expression? If yes, am I happy or am I not happy? When we tune into our heart, do I feel that this is my purpose, or do I feel I'm wasting my life? What's going on here, right? So something got seeded in July, we had more clarity by the end of 2023. Now we're moving on. 1 year later, July the 5th or 6th, depending where you are in the world, cycle is ending. new cycle is beginning, a cycle is being reset. Well, now this chart looks very, very different from the chart that we experienced a year ago during the new moon in Cancer. Of course, we know that the nodes are still in the sign of Aries and Libra. They will not shift until after the full moon in Cancer. Actually, I have the chart here too. The full moon in Cancer, which will not take place this year, it will be the first lunation in 2025. It will be the last lunation with the nodes in Libra and Aries, because the one after that, which will be a new moon in Aquarius, the nodes will have already moved, just moved into the sign of Virgo and Pisces. So this is again the Pisces, the Neptune archetype is coming up. What is this about? It's about letting go. What are we letting go of? Well, we are in a Cancer season. What is Cancer? Cancer is our identity, our connection with our inner world, and it's leading us towards this Leo, which is all about our authenticity and purpose. What did we come here to become, right? So okay, let's dive into this chart. This is a third lunation in a row, as I mentioned last time, when Venus is conjunct Sun, even though the exact conjunction, exact conjunction happened on June 4th, so that was right before the new moon in Gemini, but Venus is very, this is the last lunation. The next one in Capricorn, Venus will already be one sign ahead, but this is third lunation in a row when Venus is conjunct the Sun, and Venus is the ruler of the South Node, the node that we are evolving. But as I just mentioned, everything passing through Cancer is going to square the lunar nodes, but this time we're not looking at the South Node no more. We are like, okay, we've been looking at South Node for the entire 2023, first in Scorpio, then in Libra. Now we're looking at the North Node because we need to go ahead, because there's no more time to waste. We cannot keep living in the past, because as we might know, Cancer also rules our memories. Because of course it's our ancestor lines, our past identities, our everything, right? So it's our memories, but we cannot keep living in the past. We need to now focus at the present moment, which is creating our future, even though yes, we know that all the timelines are interconnected, nothing is linear, but from the 3D perspective, this is what we need to focus on, the present moment and the co-creation of different futures, so we don't have to keep repeating the same past, because this Neptune that just stationed retrograde is saying, okay, what do we need to release? Because I'm just going to mention this because it's super, super interesting. This new moon that we see it in, and I will really, really focus on that, is 20 to 22 when I said that. But I need to, for the geeky, geek inside me, I need to mention this. With the full moon in Cancer, which will be the first lunation in 2025, it will take place on January 13th. So this is literally mind-blowing. The full moon in Cancer will be trined by Neptune. It will be, Sun will be conjunct Pluto. Sun will be still in Capricorn, of course. The nodes, as I mentioned, will be still in Aries, Libra for the last lunation in this case. But Uranus will be trining Sun. Neptune will be trining the moon, the full moon. Neptune will be trining it, Uranus will be trining Sun. Again, Uranus by this point is good to be ruler of Pluto, because Pluto will have ingressed into the sign of Aquarius for the final time in November 19th, and that's where Uranus will become Pluto's ruler for the next 20 years, right? So that's the case, of course, January as well. So this is the most important thing. Those are the most important thing. Uranus trining the Sun, Uranus sextile in the Moon. This will be the full moon in January 2025, and Neptune trining it. Mars is conjuncting the Moon. Pluto is conjuncting the Sun, and Venus is in the sign of Pisces, closing to Saturn, so closing phase conjunction in the sign of Pisces. You can't make this up. Neptune is coming closer and closer to North Node. I believe they're going to have a conjunction in February or March. Don't quote me on that, but it's going to be either one or the other. So it's going to be not far after this one. So this is the ultimate culmination. This is the only combination which everything is supporting us in, we're going ahead. So we're going now back into the present moment, because this is too much focusing into the future. But like I said, we're going to be super supported. I mean, come on, the only thing that is being squared, there is a square between this Venus-Saturn conjunction and Jupiter in Gemini. This is the January 2025, because it's about letting go of these stories and choosing a new one, right? So, like I said, whatever is going to happen between between now and January 2025, we will be making different choices because we are not the same people. We continuously changing who we are, but this is huge change. This is huge change. This is a quantum leap into, you know, into the future version of yourself. So, okay, let's just stay present. 25 minutes in, and I haven't even started talking about New Moon in Cancer, the current one. So, as I started saying, it's conjunct Venus. Venus is conjuncting this new moon, just as she was conjuncting the new moon in Gemini. Gemini is all about choice. Cancer is all about your identity. Venus was, you know, opposing the full moon in Capricorn, the first one, conjuncting Sun again. And at this case, this moon, new moon in Cancer, it's sextiling Mars. Yes, because the exact sextile between Sun, the exact sextile between Sun and Mars is happening after full moon in Capricorn number 2, 26th of July, but it's already active. It's already active. 5 degrees between them. It's already active. So this is between Mars and the moon is the closing sextile, which is Aquarius, breaking free. Mars is going through the sign of Taurus. At this stage, new moon in Cancer, Mars is closing to Uranus. They haven't had their conjunction yet. That's happening on the 15th, July 15th, and that's when things will reset. So again, culmination, closing to Uranus, sextiling the moon from the closing sextile, waning sextile, which is about breaking free from that which is outdating before stepping into new cycle. It's a new moon. What's happening? Something is being concepted. What's being concepted? The new version of ourselves that is no longer going to be looking backwards. It's going to be present and looking forward. It's different from the last year, because last year we were still encouraged to look backwards because we were looking at the South Node. We had to discover, we had to uncover, we needed to remind ourselves, where is the imbalance? Where did it come from? Like, we didn't know, but now we do, because things got reset in Aries season, when we had this solar eclipse, right? As I keep saying all the time, like a parrot, you know, it was in a new phase conjunction with the North Node. Everything changed in, upper hemisphere, springtime. So we have this sextile from Mars. The most important, actually, thing, I should have started with that one. This new moon in Cancer, just as the new moon in Capricorn in January 11th, 2024, new moon in Capricorn was squaring the nodes together with Pluto because it was conjuncting Pluto. New moon in Cancer, 6 months later, this new moon in Cancer is also squaring the nodes. But now the resolution node is the North Node. The North Node ruled by Mars in the sign of Taurus, closing to Uranus, because they're going to have a conjunction 9 days, depends where you are, 9 days, 10 days later. So that's saying that we need to start looking forward. We have to stop just being stuck in a comfort zone of this survival, like, oh, you know, this is what we need to do to survive. Survival is no longer what we came here to do. We didn't come here to survive. We came here to thrive, to self-actualize, to live in accordance with our purpose. But back in the days, hundreds and thousands of years ago, the point of the game was survival, you know, but that is not the time we're living in now. Just ask any Pluto Sagittarius or Pluto Capricorns. They will tell you, I didn't come here to survive. I came here to have a good time. Thank you. So anyway, the most important aspect this new moon in Cancer is making is square to the lunar nodes. This is very, very important. Resolution node being North Node in Aries, ruler Mars is sextiling this moon, as I already said. This is the closing sextile, Aquarian flavor, breaking free from something. Funnily enough, Mars is closing to Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. Uranus is the ruler of Pluto. There, Pluto is retrograde, is making us to go deep within, and is literally dismantling our inner landscape. And Pluto is actually making an opposition to Mercury. So the exact opposition, and it's happening on July 3rd. Right after, did I actually mention that? Right after Mercury moves into the sign of Leo. If I didn't, I need to mention it now. Mercury on the 3rd of July, right after Mercury moves into the sign of Leo, the very next day, Mercury will make an opposition to Pluto, right? Which is about balancing. Something needs to be balanced. Okay. What else do we have going on here? Okay, the moon, it's conjunct Venus. Venus is the ruler of the South Node, but that's not the resolution node no more. And also Saturn as the former and upcoming ruler of Pluto. Saturn is also trining this moon. Saturn was actually trining the moon before. Let me just quickly have a look. Where was it? Saturn was trining not the new moon, the full moon maybe. Let's have a look. Where is Saturn? Saturn, Pisces. Yes. Saturn was trining the full moon in Cancer on December 27th. So this is supporting us. Saturn at the time was still the ruler of Pluto, because Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius in January. So Saturn was trining the moon. This was a full moon in December 2023, saying that, okay, yeah, we need to, there's a supportive aspect, we're ready for this, we are in a state of flow, that this is what we sign up for, this is the time for it. Pluto is ending Capricorn, it's time to wake up to who we really are and what we came here to do. And now July the 6th, or 5th, okay, for a lot of people it's July the 5th. So I try to remind myself that it's not the same thing for everyone, which makes sense. New moon in Cancer, it's not gonna, this transformation is not gonna be the same for everyone. People gonna decide, who do I want to become, right? There's the Aquarius, individuation, authenticity. So yeah, Saturn once again is making a trine to this new moon in Cancer, which is again, it's supporting us. This puts the Saturn in a waning trine, which is all about harvest. It's time to reap the fruits of this work we have done in the past year, in understanding of who we are no longer, but who we are going to be becoming. And like I said, in this case, Neptune is too far, it's 15 degrees away to be making a trine, exact trine to the moon. But as we know, Neptune is going to be trining the full moon in Cancer in January 2025. So yeah, the exact trine between Sun and Neptune is actually going to be present. Neptune is going to be is going to be active. The Sun and Neptune trine is going to be present for the full moon in Capricorn number 2 on 21st of July. The exact conjunction between the exact trine between Sun and Neptune is on 22nd of July. Okay, what else is happening? As I already mentioned many times, Mars is closing to Uranus. They're going to have a conjunction on the 15th. Mercury opposing Pluto, I already mentioned that. Mercury sextile to Jupiter. Actually, the Mercury sextile to Jupiter, where am I? Mercury sextile to Jupiter, yes. Mercury sextile to Jupiter is happening right after on July 8th. And Saturn sextile to Mars. So Saturn sextile to Mars is actually happening shortly before this new moon. So that's a very, very fully active sextile. It's happening right before. So on July the 5th or early morning, well, actually, yeah, July the 5th, either way. It's happening on July the 5th. But of course, for those of you who are experiencing the new moon in Cancer, it's happening literally on the same day. For me here in Bansko, it's happening I'm having the new moon on the 6th. But either way, sextile between Saturn and Mars is again representing Taurus. It's the first sextile since their conjunction, which, as I said, took place on April the 10th, right after the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. And this is creating this new foundation. We are building this new foundation because we know that the old foundation is not going to hold for much longer. Saturn is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Neptune is the ruler of Saturn, and Saturn will be once more the ruler of Pluto, and then Pluto is done with Capricorn, is dismantled. So we know that the structure as we know it is not gonna be holding, it's not gonna look the same way, it's not gonna stay the same way. We need to break out of this attachment to this comfort zone or this fixation of this is how it is, this is how it's always been, and we want it to survive looking exactly the same way. That is not possible. It is not possible. It is not going to be that way going forward. And this is why we have so many Taurian undercurrents, these first sextiles, moon in Taurus and stuff like that. There is so much Taurian essence in these charts, and that's all talking about this create new foundation, create stronger roots, because this structure that we've been depending on, it is going to change, and it's going to change soon, because this is 14 degrees, 23 minutes, 5 and 5, number 10, right before the 7-7 portal. Okay. As I already mentioned, the most important thing to pay attention to in the Cancer season are the squares to lunar nodes and squares to Chiron. And this Chiron square from Venus, it's still fully active. As I already mentioned, it's happening on a 6th. So the same as Mars, Saturn sextile, Venus square to Chiron, it's happening simultaneously with the new moon in Cancer. So yeah, this is, like I said, creating more and more pressure and making us feel the feels with regards to these old wounds that are making us feel afraid and potentially doubt ourselves, that how can I do it? How can I make a different life for myself? If this doesn't work, if this is not going to be part of the story going forward, what is? And am I going to survive? Am I going to like it? All those are the questions. And that takes us back to Capricorn. You decide. And that takes you to this Gemini Jupiter, with this Mercury as the ruler opposing Pluto. Like it's about balancing. Like, yeah, we need to fit into the world, but you don't have to fit into with everyone. You have to become who you came here to be and find the people that are right for you. Doesn't mean that the other people are wrong. It just means that we are no longer here to fit into somebody else's mold and live somebody else's life based on somebody else's rules and expectations. No, people are going to be creating their own rules, and they're going to be connecting with people who are of the same mindset. And it doesn't make anybody right or wrong. This is not about judgment, and this is not about my group is better than yours. No, this is just about, I came here to be me. I didn't came here to change myself so I fit somebody else's standards. And this is the age of Aquarius. It's about authenticity, individuation, and creating these communities, these tribes that will support you in being exactly who you came here to be. And that's what's being birthed with this new moon in Cancer. Who did you come here to be? What is your new sense of yourself after these 12 months since this last new moon in Cancer, where the nodes just shifted shortly after that into the sign of Aries and Libra? So this past 12 months was about self-discovery. It was about, okay, now you understand that what you need to survive, what is important to you, but who are you? Who are you, and where do you want to go going forward with your life, and who do you want to hang out with, with this South Node in Libra? Might not even necessarily be the same people, it might be whoever you choose to be, whoever you will connect with. You might surprise yourself, because we don't even know who we really are. We don't know all these aspects of ourselves that are lying dormant because they had to be suppressed because of our conditioning. And now all this is invited to come online. Like I said, the full moon in Cancer in January 2025, the Sun and Uranus will have an exact trine. Literally, it will be happening on the same day, the trine from Uranus to Sun. And this is about the liberation of you to step into your purpose, whatever that is for you. But you decide, because the North Node is in Aries, and the squares are pointing to North Node. It's saying it's whatever you decide. It's the path of self-discovery. And we know that Sun is going to trine the North Node in Leo season, because Leo and Aries, they trine each other, they support each other. And also with this full moon in Cancer, starting from the new moon in Capricorn number 2, which will be on December 30th, 31st, depending where you are in the world, there's going to be an exact trine between Pluto and the South Node. And that's going to be still present for the full moon in Cancer 2025, which will be happening, as I said, on January 13th. So yeah, there will be many more changes going on in our lives for these next 6 months until January 2025, because we're breaking ourselves free from the old identities that we adopted in many cases. It's like, it's quite interesting, because some people might even think like, well, like this is when I had my awakening in 2020, when I realized that, my life was an illusion. It wasn't what I thought it was, because I didn't understand. So how many people, especially for the next 6 months, because this is a seeding process, this is a conception, this is a new moon, it's dark, we don't see. But how many people might realize the same thing? A lot of people are already awakening, a lot of people are asking questions, and things are not adding on, right? But how many more people in the upcoming 6 months whichever way that will be playing out, on the global scale, whatever will happen, that will force more and more people to wake up and ask questions and, just be completely disillusioned by the stories of the external reality, and they will be seeking in different places. How many people will have this feeling that I've been living a lie? I didn't really know what this was about, and it was not what I was being told, and it's not going to be necessarily easy. And this is the square to Chiron. This is the wound. Like, oh my God, I didn't know. I didn't understand. And that might be for many people going forward, until they will realize that, well, actually, I can create my life the way I want to live it. Like, yeah, there are certain rules that we all assigned to as a human collective consciousness and stuff, this basic moral code, don't harm others and stuff like that. But in essence, we are not children. Like, there is no one that has to that should be telling you how you should live your life. You are a grown up. Most of the people, anyway. I hope everybody watching this is. Anyway, so moving on. Before I get deep into rabbit holes, so yeah, Mercury is still making a trine to Neptune, even though by this point, of course, is out of sign. The exact trine, as I mentioned, happened on July 2nd, right before Mercury moved into sign of Leo, but it is still active, even though it's out of sign now. And this is again about letting go. This is the first trine, which is the Leo flavor, and that represents this stepping into your own purpose, because Mercury is in a sign of Leo. It's going to help us to reconnect with our purpose, with our childlike innocence, with our pure essence, right? Because the inner child is the gateway to the soul, because it's our heart. It's all the same archetype. Leo rules the heart. And yeah, Mercury is making opposition to Pluto, takes you back to Uranus. Uranus ruled by Venus. Venus conjuncting New Moon, new phase. And Mars as the ruler of the North Node goes into Uranus. It just goes in the circles. And yeah, like I said, then we have the Saturn sextile to Mars same day. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. What I have, obviously, there are still aspects from the goddesses, they active, but, like I said, this is not my expertise, so I'm not gonna go digging into that. But in essence, I think I already pretty much explained or shared is better word, yeah, shared. What I feel for me this new moon in Cancer represents, and how this new moon in Cancer is different from the new moon in Cancer 2023, because everything shifted. Jupiter is now in the sign of Gemini, Mercury is in Leo, making an opposition to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, right? And this is taking us to Uranus, conjuncted with Mars, and resolution node from this new moon squaring the nodes is the North Node ruled by Mars. So this is very different energy, because as I mentioned last year at the time of new moon in Cancer, the North Node was still in Taurus. Yeah, so the ruler was Venus. The ruler actually, Mars became the ruler a few hours later. And this whole year, with the Mars at the time being a sign of Virgo, was about gathering information, learning and adjusting, figuring it out, trying to figure it out, learning tools, gathering the tools. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward? It's a step-by-step process. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not even going to necessarily all change next year. Very unlikely. It's a step-by-step process. But the whole point is to start from the core, the foundation. There was a sparkle of new energy in the Aries season. A new energy was brought through and activated. The conception of all of this happened a year before, in 2023, when we had the first, the double new moon in Aries and the first eclipse in Aries, but it was on 29 degrees, right? Which was saying that there is a lot that needs to culminate first, right? But now things have shifted, this past year since, like or year and a quarter since then, things have shifted because a lot of things happened, a lot of things changed, right? We had this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which was so profound, which said we are creating a new story. There was this, like I said, that sparkle got activated in April when we had Sun conjunct North Node and the new moon solar eclipse in Aries on North Node in conjunction with Chiron, exact conjunction. We had Sun, Moon, Chiron literally lined up, same degree, same minute, all together. And at the time, Mars was in a sign of Pisces, ruled by Neptune, which is saying we need to let go. There is something that we need to release. But in order to release it, we need to be able to understand the meaning of purpose. Why did it take place? And also have a compassion and forgiveness for ourselves and others that play that role, that we assign them to, even these people in the world, these politicians and whoever that play this role, that we want to crucify and chastise them for it. We agreed to that. We all agreed to that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. So this is where Capricorn comes in, this responsibility. We need to take responsibility that we chose this. Yeah, I didn't choose it in, like, in this ego, this identity that I'm playing here. Like, I didn't choose any of that, but my soul did. Obviously, because otherwise I wouldn't be here playing this role and like being part of this game, this story that we are living up, right? That we are co-creating together. So when we go like, okay, well, my soul signed up to this, I don't particularly like it or agree to it, but obviously there is a learning in that for me. Okay, what is the learning? How can I change the pattern? How can I change the story? And this is the Jupiter in Gemini. It's saying, well, there are plenty of stories to choose from. You decide. It's up to you. Mercury now in the sign of Leo. It's saying, well, listen to your heart. Ask your heart. In opposition with this Pluto in Aquarius. Who are you? This balancing act about this, being ruled by Uranus, of course. Venus is still in Cancer, so it takes us back to this new moon. Are you who you are, or who you think you are, or who you tell yourself that you are? Or was that built on an illusion of all these expectations, conditioning, programming, and the story that's been passed on from generation to generation, that this is where you came from, this is who are your ancestors, and you need to stay true and loyal to this memory, and you cannot be anything else, okay? You need to just be that, and that's it. And this is technically why we still have wars in the world, because people are so attached to old stories, and like, you did this to my ancestors and now you have to be punished for that, and I don't believe what you're saying because I was being told a different story, and of course my story is the right one. And I'm like, hello, Jupiter is Gemini. It's choice, right? Gemini is all about multiplicity, multidimensionality. It is all true. It is all true and it is all lie. It just depends who you ask, who you speak to, how you're looking at it, right? Unless it's a universal law, right? Then it's just a perception. It's a perception, it's a subjective opinion, it's a story. And Jupiter is still trining Pluto. They're still trining one another, even though the conjunction happened like what? 31st of May, right? It's still happening. It's still active. Because it's saying we are creating a new story. Mercury, the ruler of Jupiter, is opposing Pluto. Is saying we need to balance this mess. We need to heal. We need to heal. What do we need? And Cancer, I mean, it's all about healing. It's all this water. Neptune and Saturn, Neptune and Saturn stationed in retrograde shortly before. There is a reason why this Neptune and Saturn were not retrograde for the full moon in Capricorn number 1. And now they are. And they will be for the full moon in Capricorn number 2. Neptune was squaring the first full moon in Capricorn, the last lunation before this one, which said we need to release something. There is something we need to let go of. It was the last quarter square, which is about breaking free. It's coming towards Aquarius, and then the cycle can end. What are we releasing? This old structure of reality. It doesn't mean it's all bad. It doesn't mean that it's all garbage, and it doesn't mean that we have to be pissed off and feel, done by, like, like, let's not go into victimhood, even though if we feel that way, it's okay, like I feel like a victim sometimes. We feel the feels, and then we go, okay, now what is the message? Okay, you know, do I want to keep feeling like this for the rest of my life? Not really. Doesn't make me feel very good, you know. So, okay, what can we do about it? How can we change things? Well, we need to create something different. We need to create a different reality for ourselves, and we have the choice. Jupiter is the father Christmas. It says everything, yes to everything it touches. And Jupiter is ruled by Venus. Well, no, actually, it's ruled by Mercury now because it is in a sign of Gemini, but Mercury is in Leo. Leo is all about creativity. Leo is your child, you know, like physical, or your product, or your anything you create, even a cake, you know, or whatever. It's Leo. It's your creation. It comes from your heart. It's the energy you channel from the source, from your higher self. And we can create whatever we want. But we need to believe we can, because there is an inconjunction. Yeah, between Capricorn and Leo, there is an inconjunction, which takes you back to Capricorn, which takes us back to this number 8, the strength. You know, we build in the strength and resiliency to understand who we really are, that we are the creator of our reality, but it's all hearsay. Because, yeah, it's all just the words until it's being put into practice. That's why Capricorn is earth sign. Virgo is earth sign, Taurus is earth sign. You say, okay, well, yeah, we have all this information, all these channelings, all this everything, but how do we put it into practice? It's a step-by-step process. It's a trial and error, because we create in a completely different reality, because we are becoming a completely different species. Like the human race is going through transmutation. Pluto is the DNA. Pluto is moving into Aquarius. It's an acceleration. We're going to become something completely foreign, something completely different to who we were before. Just look at like how people operated between 1776 or just generally 18th century, right? When Pluto was in Aquarius last time. It was like, we look back at this time and so like, oh my God, how could humans behave that way, right? Like, who were they? You know, I don't associate myself with that behavior or something. You know, next time Pluto is in Aquarius, you know, these 380 years or something, these people from the future gonna look at us and say, what were they doing? What were they thinking? You know, like in 2024, like what the hell was going on over there on planet Earth, you know? And it will be the future versions of us, of course, which already exist. We'll be looking like, man, you know, I wish I knew, but this is evolution. It's very accelerated at the moment. Everything is happening quickly, but we still live in 3D, you know? So it takes time. It's Capricorn. It's Saturn, you know? But don't worry, Saturn is moving into Aries soon. So it's gonna be like, okay, now we're ready to go. But before we get there, there are a lot of things that needs to be done first, foundational thing. You know, we need to heal that which is preventing us from embracing this new, stepping into this new identity, stepping into this new direction. Be brave to try to make mistake. Be brave to fail, right? This is even like this Bansko festival I did. Every single entrepreneur said, good, you know, mistake is good, failure is good, you learn. The more you do and the sooner the better, the faster you learn, right? This is where we at as a human collective. Like, yeah, let's try to minimize the what you call collateral damage, right? But we will make mistakes, but that should not prevent us from trying, because it's creating something completely different, right? Including these new versions of ourselves. Like I like, you know, like this, oh, this is what I always was, this is who I am. But is it, you know, am I still happy being who I was, or what's going on here? So anyway, you know, I could keep going forever, but I want to pull some cards. But technically, I think, you know, I conveyed the message I wanted to say, because it's a new moon. We don't know. What we do know is that it's being supported by Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces retrograde. It's saying, yeah, this is all part of the restructuring of the reality, you know, this becoming someone else. And everything else that I was mentioning, you know, especially the square to the nodes, pointing to the North Node in Aries, saying it's a new direction, it's a new cycle. It's different from the new moon last year. It's very different. And in 6 months' time, we once again will have much more clarity. What does it mean for us? Who are we becoming? What does this mean? How is it going to look like? Well, we'll find out. 6 months from now, Pluto will be trining the South Node, the one that he was squaring this entire last year, including the new moon in Cancer 2023 and full moon in Cancer 2023. Pluto was squaring the nodes. Now Pluto will be trining the South Node, the resolution node, at the end of this year. So it's yet to be seen, because a lot has to happen between now and then, and it will. But how it's going to show up and what is going to create in our lives, that energy, how we're going to use it, that's up to us, right? And it's also about how much are we willing to embrace the unknown, like just to go for it, just to be brave and courageous, to show up and say, okay, yeah, here I am. Like, you know, just like somebody said, I don't know which video it was, but somebody said that, you know, to say to universe every day, universe, surprise me, you know, and then ego goes, what you mean surprise me? I don't like surprises. I cannot control surprises. Like, will I like it? Yeah. But imagine if we all like, or like they say, you know, like the yes man, the video with the yes man who says yes to everything, right? And it's like, oh my God, imagine the crazy things that would happen if you know, like, okay, you know, like be mindful and discerning when saying yes. But imagine the things that if we say yes, you know, to certain things which are like, oh no, that's not me, I'm not gonna do that. And then, you know, these new aspects of ourselves that we might discover, and new exciting opportunities and stuff. And yeah, new moon in Cancer, what can I say? So anyway, guys, I'll leave it at that. Like I said, I want to pull some few cards, and it's 55 minutes already, so let's move on. Yeah, okay, let's see. Let me get the Queen of the Moon Oracle, because it is a lunation. So let's see what is the overarching energy of the new moon in Cancer 2024. Spirit. Oh, okay, straight away. Oh, okay, I didn't... Okay, it's very clear. Darkness, long night moon, number 44, Saturn, structure. Look at that, path ahead, bunny, you know. Here we go. We have a long path ahead. We are at the beginning. We are getting ready. We can't see. It's a dark moon. This is the moon right before new moon, I believe. Long night moon. Look at that. New moon. This is perfect. And I mean, the card was like, yeah, I'm ready. I was ready for you. Are you ready for me? Okay, number 40, yeah, restructuring. Like I said, trying to Saturn, you know, like whether we feel that, oh yeah, you know, I understand what's going on or not, our higher self is right on track. Darkness, right? You are entering a time of introversion, a leaner time, or time to turn inward to plan and strategize. It is time to do shadow work, which will bring, this is Neptune retrograde in Pisces, which will bring also Saturn, Neptune, Pluto retrograde, all retrograde. This is it. Excuse me. Which will bring big dividends later on. Release what no longer works for you. And the affirmation is the darkness needs to be here as much as does the light. Yeah, we would never see the light if there wasn't for the dark, right? One of the earliest human fears is said to be a fear of the dark, fear of the unknown. We fear what we can't see, and we fear what might be hiding. In reality, the dark is as important as the light. In nature, there are many nocturnal animals that go about their business of living under the moon, not the sun. The darker times of the lunar and seasonal cycles signal a time to naturally turn inwards, Cancer season, to stay close to home, Cancer season, to look closely at ourselves and to plan for the light in the resolution node, north node in Aries, future, present, that creates the future. In northern hemisphere, the long night moon usually occurred in December around the winter solstice. That will be the new moon in Capricorn, number 2. That will be December 30th, 31st. This is when the nights are indeed long and hours of sunshine short. Well, this is actually what just happened in southern hemisphere now, right? You just guys had winter solstice. It's cold and people would begin to be snowed in. It is during these long nights we can begin to do our shadow work, undertaking the self-reflection needed to identify what isn't working for us and what might be causing us pain. This is all the retrogrades. And square to Chiron. This could be a bad habit, a destructive pattern, and recurring useless fear of anything that holds us back from being the best we can be. Once we see these aspects of ourselves in the dark, we can simply decide whether they must go. We can decide to release them once and for all. We get to transform. And companion stone is onyx, protection stone. Perfect. Yep. By the end of the full moon in Cancer, we will know much more than we do now. But this is interesting because winter solstice was just in we just had winter solstice in southern hemisphere. So let's see what this means. Anyway, the card is spot on, and like I said, number 4, Saturn, restructuring, creating new foundation, all these Taurus. Okay, we're going to use my other lunation new favorite, the Carl Gray, the Gateway of Light Activation Oracle, to see what is being activated, what portals are opening up for us with this new moon in Cancer. And of course, shortly after is the 7-7 portal, so this is all connected. And the 7-7, like I said, 7 is actually the number of Neptune, which is about letting go, releasing. And 7-7 is 14, which is number 5, which is about change. You know, this change. Mercury and Uranus archetypes, change. So we will make a new choice. From the chaos, a new structure is being created, right? Just like I said at the beginning. Okay, let's pull the card. Okay, Spirit, what portal is being activated for us with this new moon in Cancer and 7-7 portal, please? Oh, okay. Again, this Crystal Skull Wisdom. We had that last time. And Divine, oh my God, we had exactly the same cards last time, didn't we? Divine Matrix and the Skull. Crystal Skull Wisdom. And at the bottom is Akashic Stargate. Aligned with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. You see, there are all these options. This Jupiter in Gemini, choose the ones that feels the best to you. That's the Mercury in Leo as the ruler of Jupiter. Okay, so well, let's go back to these two cards because they keep popping up, you know. I'm sure this one was the one we pulled last time, right? The Flower of Life and the Skull. Crystal Skull, clarity, divine healing, high vibrational energy, and the divine matrix, interconnectedness, synchronicity, and God incidences. Okay, let's start with the Crystal Skull. So crazy. Crystal skulls are said to have been healing tools and wisdom keepers in the ancient civilization of Atlantis and Lemuria. Quartz crystal is known for its capacity to amplify energy. Interesting, that's what I've been holding this entire video. And store information. When a crystal is carved into a particular shape, it can bring healing and clarity to what it represents and uncover memories that could be essential to revealing truth. Therefore, crystal skulls are wonderful healing tools that bring clarity to the mind and healing to the head space. This card transports us to energetic space representing the crystal skull consciousness. It delivers high vibrational frequencies into our energy field so that we can experience clear-mindedness. If you have ever felt called to crystal skulls or have an interest in them, there's a possibility that you can connect with them in a previous incarnation. They are gateways to clarity and potential. Interestingly enough, the head, the upper part of the head is being ruled by Aries and the lower is Taurus and the neck, the voice, right? But the head is usually being connected to Aries archetype, and we have the squares to the nose pointing to the north node in Aries, new direction. And skull, I mean bones, are Saturn. And we have the Mars sextile to Saturn. It's crazy, right? Okay, your message. All aspects of your life are becoming clearer at this time. Expect to become aware of what you need to step away to have a more focused path. You might have felt indecisive, but now you are downloading direct guidance from the heart of Source so that you can live and express yourself in more authentic way. Know that downloads often appear as your own inner guidance, encouraging you to move forward. The key is to recognize the calmness they bring. This is a time of clarity and connection. Crystal Skull downloads are here to bring clarification to what you have been receiving within. In order for the next phase of your journey to unfold, right? You must follow the information you have received. You know what you need to do to heal and grow. If you've been asking for a sign that the healing work you have been doing has been successful, trust that this card is the message you have been waiting for. Look at all that purple, the violet flame, right? The forgiveness and compassion. The crystal, the keeper of the memories, and we have the Akashic Stargate as well. Okay, Divine Matrix, Red reads that one again. I think this is third time this card came up since I've been using this deck. Interconnectedness, synchronicity, the portal, literally the portal, the flower of life. It's crazy. I mean, you can't make this up, seriously. Everything is connected. Everything that was, is, and ever will be is connected to an invisible bond of energy, uniting every living being from the past, present, and future. This isn't a new idea. Every great mystic through the ages had understood that everything is one, and now scientists are beginning to provide evidence for it. The best way to describe the connection is as a lattice of grid or divine matrix. We are all points on this grid, and we are all connected through it. It links us to our ancestry and loved ones, aspects of ourselves, past, present, and future, and also the ancient and divine wisdom held in a quantum field of the universe. This card shows a giant stargate opening up. Can you see, right? Opening up to the universe and a piece of sacred geometry known as the flower of life. This is quite literally a two-dimensional image of the divine matrix, and the information held within it can help us begin to understand the inner and outer workings of this incredible universe. If you spend time with this image, you'll find multiple images within it, reminding us all that nothing is happening by chance, and that even when we can't fully comprehend it, there is a greater plan unfolding. Right? Your message: you are in alignment with the oneness of life and the inner workings of the universe. You are part of something great. That means that you are greatness expressing itself. Not one thing in your life has happened by chance. Even when you felt that things have been against you, a process has been unfolding, helping you understand your connectedness to all things. So there's no need to feel insignificant or lonely. It's also important to remember that the universe is always working in your favor and for your highest good. You might have felt lost, but know that nothing is ever lost. For we are all held in the heart of the source, and love is our connection to all things. Wow, what a beautiful message. Heard for the third time. Okay, and then the Akashic Stargate. Align with purpose, crossroads, no wrong path. Yeah. Because based on who you choose to be becoming, that's, like your purpose will be stemmed from that. Well, I mean, you're already born with a purpose. It's not even who you are becoming. You're just awakening to who we came here to be. So we already are that anyway. So anyway, Stargate. A stargate is a portal that can take us through space and time to a whole other universe. It's based on the concept of Einstein-Rosen bridge, rainbow bridge, right? Or what is also known as wormhole, where a speculative structure linking different points of space-time is created. In spirituality, a stargate is less about traveling on the physical, three-dimensional level and more about making progress on the spiritual. A feature of many spiritual traditions is the idea that all of us have a stargate in our heart, Leo, that connects us with the central lattice of consciousness, the divine matrix. You can't make that up, and it's referring me back to that page. The Buddha knowledge We were the universe while Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. The Akashic Stargate transports us to a space where we are given the opportunity to make a decision to accelerate the realization of our life purpose. Leo. Connect. Visualize yourself at the crossroads. Like, no kidding, right? No kidding. Visualize yourself at the crossroads. Tune into the direction that feels most joyful, light and loving. Imagine yourself walking that road. See all that it brings you, right? We are at the beginning of the journey. You choose, you know, the divine matrix. Everything is there ready for your creation. Connect. Your message. Whenever the Akashic Stargate is presented to you, it's because you are at critical point on your journey. You have the opportunity to move in a particular direction and you have to make a decision. This can feel overwhelming and you may be waiting for someone or something to make the decision for you. But you aren't here to walk a path that was set for you. You're here to walk a path that you have chosen. The next phase of your journey cannot unfold until you decide which way to go. Know that whatever direction you take and whatever decision you make, you'll always be on the right path. No matter how you get there, you always end up in a similar space. Also know that the purpose isn't about doing your duty, it's about living life and experiencing joy. Right? I mean, this is so beautiful. Like, you know, it just makes me all emotional. It's so amazing. Like, literally, it's making us feel afraid because we know things are changing, and I will speak more about this in my practical application. I want to record it tomorrow. But it's already happening. It's already happening. It's so magical. Like, you know, anyway, I'm going to share more about this tomorrow on my practical application. Okay, quickly, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Let's just close with the major arcana. Let's see what the major arcana want to say to cap this reading and this whole recording. Major arcana, guidance, please. Okay, one just shot out. Of course, the sun. And yeah, I actually had it in my notes. I wanted to say we will end this, well, you know, this week, next week, after the new moon in Cancer. We will end it with 7-7 portal, and actually number 5 is the sun. In astrology, the 5th house is the sun, and it is the day of the sun, and the moon will move into the sign of Leo, ruled by the sun. I mean, come on, right? And at the bottom is the high priestess. So the sun, you know, which is the number 19. Oh my God, number 10. And what did we say? The 5 and 5 adds up to number 10, and is a 5, which is the Leo. And it's the 7-7 portal, which adds up to number 5 too. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, hello. And look at that. The purity, the childlike innocence, the connecting with your heart, setting up on a new journey. You know, here is the dark and the night and the light. And actually we have the high priestess, the moon, the sun and the moon. And it's the new moon in Cancer. I mean, you cannot make this up. Right? Number 1, sun. Number 2, moon. 19 and 2, high priestess. All the answers are already within you. You know, it's already within you. High priestess, just listen, tune into your intuition to access the answers. Tune into your heart. That's where your purpose lies. You're here to co-create a different reality. Look at all this sunflower, all this joy through happiness and joy, right? Just tune in. Oh my God, this is so profound. I'm speechless. Okay, guys, 12 minutes. Let's close with this. Just a quick reminder to everyone that I still have my 25% off summer sale going on. So if you wish to have a reading with me, you can go to my website. The price is already adjusted, so just book there. I am fully booked until August, so I don't have any availability until August. But yeah, August is the month of Leo, so why not? Okay, guys, I wish you all a wonderful rest of the weekend if you're still watching this on Sunday, or have a great week ahead. Have a wonderful new moon in Cancer. Set your intentions, of course, new moon. It's all about conception of the new. And yeah, stay tuned for my practical application of astrology. Much love to everyone, and I speak to you again soon. Bye for now.